YouTube? Awesome Rider here. Welcome to my review for Avataro Sentai DonBrothers Episode 9. Before we get started though, I want to remind you guys to like this video if you enjoy it, and climb the steps and ring that bell and hit the subscribe button so you can get notifications for more DonBrothers reviews like this and more. This was a pretty significant episode with several key things that happened, including the debut of the Robotaro forms, or at least one of them so far, Zenkaiger Black finally getting more out there in the field, at least for now, and we actually got a nice little tease for an upcoming new villain. I just want to get some small stuff out of the way first before I forget it. I kind of want to focus on the main things that happened. As far as the Monster of the Week goes, this week's Monster of the Week was kind of unique. It was this old man who was, I guess, agonizing over not being invited to play as a kid. Apparently between now and then he had nothing else going on, but the way it worked is that he projected a kid version of himself that became the monster, so it was like an indirect projection. And I think it was cool the way that worked. I think it was unique. And I think there was some funny bits to, well, the bit they were going for, but that being said, I was more so annoyed by this episode's Monster of the Week than anything because it included what in my opinion is the most dastardly villain in all of Toku, is a Toku kid. Also, there's still that guy running around trying to figure out how laughter works, just like all the villains are running around trying to figure out how emotions work. I think he comes off as the most creepy because he's coming up to people and laughing creepily in their faces while also holding like a garden center umbrella. Pink has a brief interaction with him, and then he gets pulled away, not Pink, but the villain, to go back to the villain base because like the main guy is looking at something in the distance. He sees it coming closer with the Force of Ages, and that is the new villain teaser. I believe it's the villain we got teased in the magazine scans recently. It also ties into something they're doing with this random bus that appears during the episode filled with people, and then at the end it's not filled with people, and it's tied to these new beast villains, I think. So nice little teaser there. It wasn't the primary thing going on in the episode, but it was nice to have a little bit of a villain mystery plot furthering device. But the main focus of this episode was Momotaro and him finally having a flaw. They even highlighted the beginning monologue about how he's perfect, and it's nice when someone actually has a flaw, which ties kind of nicely into the I'm perfect at everything type of bit he has going. And effectively, because of who he is, every now and then he gets like really tired and run down and lethargic, and he can only be brought back up by this little noodle ball thingies? I'm not sure what they are. They're obviously something well known in Japan, but I don't know what they are because they did make a Digimon anime where they were called donuts. But basically he has to eat like 300 of them and then he's totes okay. And that's like the main plot of the episode. And they keep trying to make it work and it keeps not working. Like the first time they make it, it works briefly but not all the way because they didn't make it right because they beat the dough with their hands instead of a mallet. That sounded. Later on, he only eats 299 of them by mistake. But that's kind of the main gist of the episode. And I think it was mostly a pretty decent story, actually, which sounds kind of funny. It wasn't the best. Sometimes it was a little over-the-top silly. But I kind of liked how it balanced some of that silly stuff and some funny moments with an actual kind of character-driven thing. Like, entertainment-wise, I think it was really fun when he rode into battle in his sort of exhausted state. Because instead of it being all bright and colorful with a lot of fanfare, it was like in black and white, and like even the people that were bringing him in were tired. Like it was a funny juxtaposition, like he was even on like a futon, and it's funny because it reminded me of those infomercials where they show somebody doing something really normal and easy that you shouldn't have a problem with at all, but they put it in black and white to make it seem like it's really difficult and sad. Like, ever have trouble drinking your water and the person's like, my God, how do you do this? That's kind of what that reminded me of, and that was just kind of funny to me. But it also led to a nice character moment at the end because it ended up being that even though he ate only 299 of them, what kind of pushed him over the edge to be better again was actually Yellow's support, and it tied into, I think, him learning to work better with the team and accepting the team, but also kind of the running gag / character beat of her trying to gain his acceptance and acknowledgement, and he finally acknowledges her. Of course, right after he does, he then like kicks her away just like usual. It's a good running gag, but I thought it was pretty nice because the storyline allowed to have some funny moments, but it also allowed for a nice little character progression, I thought, for both Oni's sister in regards to the dynamic with Momotaro and Momotaro himself acknowledging her, and I thought that was pretty well done. It also is what led us to getting Zenkaiser Black out in the field, because when he brings him the second batch, even though it was incomplete, because he gets a notification on his phone later that it was incomplete somehow. I don't know, I think that frame is just funny of him holding the phone, I don't know why. Anyway, when he brings in the food while Momotaro's trying to eat, he has to distract the monster, so he transforms. And so this is the first time Oni's sister is learning of, I think, Zenkaiser Black, period, because I don't think she ever saw him. But obviously, that her boss at the cafe is a ranger. It's the first time I think we see him transform, it was really cool to see him out there. I really like this version of Kaito so much more than the other one. And I think they did a good job with the way they handled his first debut, because I've been talking about how I wanted them to further this little mystery going on with him a little bit, but not, give away too much. And I think that's exactly what they did here, is, we got him out in the field. I think the biggest teaser was actually his interactions with Momotaro that clearly makes us know that they're aware of each other and they're kind of aware of what's going on more than we are in regards to the gears and the monsters. And so it was a nice little teaser furthering of that mystery, but we didn't all of a sudden reveal everything in one episode, and I really liked the way that was handled. And then at the end, we do debut the Robotaro form, which is on the ground now, but this is going to lead into the debut of the mecha. And the only disappointment I had about this was I was kind of hoping it was going to be more tied to the story and have kind of a story reason for it debuting, instead of it just being something he already has. Obviously, this is a Momotaro-focused episode, and then at the end, it kind of climaxes with him getting this form, but I thought those were going to have more of a correlation. Maybe like next week when we have the other Rangers getting it, we'll get more of a story about it, but I was a little bit disappointed by that. But setting that aside, superficially, I thought it was a really good debut. I really liked the design of all the individual Robotaro forms, really liked the design of this one. I thought it had a really cool and fun debut with some cool fight scenes. I like the way sometimes when it moves, it even has like mechanical noises. I think that's pretty neat. So even though I was a little disappointed story-wise, it didn't connect as much. It had a really cool first debut, and I'm like really excited to see the others in action and see the mecha in action since we recently got a look of it, and I'm excited by that part of the show. And it was overall a solid episode. I think that I didn't like it as much as I thought I was going to. Like, the preview had me really excited because I know we were debuting the Robotaro form. Zenkaiger Black was going to get out there and all that. And it had all that. I had some really solid stuff. It really furthered some things in a lot of big ways. It furthered the Zenkaiser mystery a little bit. It started us on the road of this sort of arc where we're going to be getting the mecha. Nice little villain teaser. But I just didn't like the episode as much overall as I thought it would. Not in a way that I think it's bad or anything. It just didn't connect with me as much as I thought. So I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5. I still thought it was a good, solid episode. I just didn't like it as much as I thought I would. I think mainly maybe because just the kids stuff was annoying to me, and maybe I wanted more of a story connection with the debut of the Robotaro form instead of it just being like, oh, hey, here, we've had it the whole time. But maybe that'll be fixed next week. But I still think it was an overall solid episode, and I like a lot of what they did, and I'm still really enjoying the show. But what did you guys think of this episode? What did you think of our first full official debut of Zenkaiser Black? What did you think of our debut of the first Robotaro form? Let me know in the comments as always. Until next time, like, comment, subscribe, and climb the steps and ring that bell so you get notifications for my videos. Dawson Ryder, signing out.